Now with all the latest this Friday evening, we cross over to the newsroom for 5 News at 5.
On 5 News, killed in his constituency. The Conservative MP Sir David Amess has died after being stabbed as he carried out his surgery in an Essex church.
There'll be a lot of people very upset by what's happened.
As tributes flood in from all parties, questions are raised again about the safety of our politicians. We'll have the very latest from the scene and all the reaction from Westminster. Also tonight, the testing blunder which may have led to thousands being falsely given a negative COVID result. And not amused by climate inaction. The Queen is overheard criticising world leaders who talk but don't do. Welcome to 5 News. I'm Claudia Liza Vanderpoy. We begin tonight with the news that MP Sir David Amess has been killed after being stabbed at his constituency surgery in Essex. The Conservative, who was 69, had a wife and 5 children. He'd been an MP for 38 years. In tributes paid today, Sir David was described as a dedicated MP and a lovely man. Police say a suspect has been arrested on suspicion of murder. Well, Julian Drucker is at the scene in Leigh-on-Sea for us tonight. Julian, what more can you tell us?
Claudia Liza, up until 5 hours ago, this was a very normal scene here. Sir David holding his constituency surgery in the church just behind me. Then news came through of the attack, and then at just after 3 o'clock, that appalling update. Tonight, police are investigating the killing of this well-respected Member of Parliament. He was doing what most MPs do on a Friday. Inside this Methodist church in Essex, Sir David Amess was taking part in a constituency surgery. At around midday, he was attacked here. Emergency services attempted to treat him for several hours, but at just after 3, his death was confirmed. The victim of a stabbing, and once again, a public servant killed whilst doing their job.
It is an incredible shock. I mean, you don't expect it in a church. You don't expect it anywhere, to be perfectly frank and honest. I know there's been a lot of knife crime recently, but again, there's no justification for that either. So, but in a sanctuary of a church where it's supposed to be a safe place, then I'm really deeply shocked that somebody could do this.
Police say they made an arrest shortly after arriving at the scene. That 25-year-old man is now in custody after being arrested on suspicion of murder. A knife was also recovered.
I would ask my right honourable friend if he would find time for a debate.
Sir David had been the MP for Southend West since the 90s, after first entering Parliament in 1983. This afternoon, in the minutes after his death was confirmed, one of his closest friends in the community told me of his shock.
He believed you help people, and that's what he did. And whether you were a Muslim or whatever, he had respect for all those sorts of religions. He would go and meet them, he would join in with them, with all the different cultures, very well respected by them. There'll be a lot of people very upset by what's happened.
While the exact circumstances of Sir David's death are being ascertained, the shockwaves from this attack will be felt across the entire country.
So, Julian, you spoke about a police investigation. Have there been any updates on that?
Well, forensics teams now doing their job here, and Essex Police have stressed they're not looking for anyone else in connection with this. We've seen constituents leaving flowers in the last few minutes, and children of constituents as well. Such a big constituency, Sir David held these surgeries across the whole area, so it was something of an event for him to be here. We know that when he arrived, he was chatting to people in the street just 20 minutes before he was stabbed, and when he was attacked, he had with him a female member of staff from Parliament and a female member of staff from his constituency office. There'll be a vigil at a church not far from here at 6 o'clock to remember an MP, a husband and a father who was going to give his daughter away at her wedding in just 2 months' time.
Julian, so sad. We're going to try and come back to you later on in the programme, but for now, thank you. Well, today's incident carries stark similarities to the murder of Jo Cox, who was shot in her constituency, Batley and Spen, in 2016. That prompted calls for MPs to get greater protection while outside Westminster. Here's our political editor, Andy Bell.
We have been here before. These were the tributes that the Labour MP Jo Cox murdered in 2016 in her constituency. MPs today are all too aware of the potential dangers around them.
The tragedy of the attack on him is it follows others. You know, in the Chamber of the House of Commons, I can see the shield for Jo Cox, who was attacked during the referendum. As I come out of Westminster, I go past the memorial to Keith Palmer, the policeman who was defending Parliament when he was attacked.
Jo Cox's husband has also posted this message today. Attacking our elected representatives is an attack on democracy itself. There is no excuse, no justification. It is as cowardly as it gets. 5 years ago, MPs paid tribute to Jo Cox, and since then they have been able to claim for additional security at their homes. But safety away from Parliament especially remains a real concern.
There's always going to be access to politicians, to ordinary people, and so it's impossible to make things perfect and to guarantee it will never happen again. It's very tempting to call for that. What we need to do is make sure that wherever possible, the risks and the threats are reduced as low as possible.
Last year, Sir David published a book in which he reflected on the murder of Jo Cox and how it had changed concerns about MPs' safety, particularly in their constituency surgeries. He wrote, "We're advised to never see people alone. We must be extra careful when opening post, and we must ensure that our offices are properly safe and secure." In short, these increasing attacks have rather spoilt the great British tradition of the people openly meeting their elected politicians. Security has always been part of an MP's life. Today they've been reminded how vital it is. Andy Bell, 5 News.
And we will have more from Andy a little later, with more on the MP, Sir David Amess, who died today. Well, more of today's news now, and tens of thousands of people with COVID may have been wrongly told they tested negative. OK, let's return to our top story now, and the news that the MP, Sir David Amess, has been killed after being stabbed at his constituency surgery in Essex. Our political editor, Andy Bell, is in Westminster. Andy.
Yes, Claudia Eliza, in the last few minutes, the Prime Minister has spoken. This is what he had to say.
Well, I think all our hearts are full of shock and sadness today to the loss of Sir David Amess MP, who was killed in his constituency surgery in a church after almost 40 years of continuous service to the people of Essex and the whole of the United Kingdom. And the reason I think people are so shocked and saddened is, above all, he was one of the kindest, nicest, most gentle people in politics.
MPs will be back here on Monday. They will then have a chance to pay their respects, but the Speaker has already said there will be a review to see if there is more that can be done to keep them safe.
OK, Andy Bell, with that update from the Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Thank you. And we will, of course, have the very latest on that story in our updates tonight with Mark McQuillan. That is it for now, though. Alex Deacon has the weather next, and I hope to see you again very soon. But for now, bye-bye.